Hello, welcome to Journey to Superhuman, where we are reminded that being human is truly super. Today, I want to share about my somatic healing journey from chronic pain to where I'm at now, about 90% healed. I feel that healing is multidimensional, and that's what I've experienced on my journey. I've used multiple modalities like postural restoration, cranial psychotherapy, somatic healing, psychotherapy, psychology, coaching. Uh, yeah, now I'm up to the Appliance, and I'll share my story from start to finish, and I'll go in deeper detail on each modality, on how I think it helped me, and yeah, we'll go from there. So, to begin, about 7 years ago is where I started to have a lot of issues with my body. 7 years ago as well, I also got my wisdom teeth taken out, and that's where everything really started. About 9 months after I got my 4 wisdom teeth taken out, I had eczema burst out overnight on my skin, on my body, on my face. I was pussing out, I couldn't even speak. It was crazy. And I went on this whole cycle of different diets, different ways to heal myself. Eventually, I got there. I tried many things, but that's for another story. And so, from that wisdom teeth, had it taken out. My body was off from there. My body didn't function the same. I just felt off. And I was doing martial arts at the time. I was about 2, 3 years into my martial arts journey, and I just started getting injured. But it wasn't like it was injury because my body felt off from pre surgery. So it was actually quite difficult. I felt like I had a lateral pelvic tilt, and for those that don't know, lateral pelvic tilt is when one side is tilting more than the other, so you're a little bit lopsided. And that got worse over time. It started to give me knee problems from just walking, just knee pain, inflammation. And that's when I began my search on different, an explanation of what's going on. I thought it was just lateral pelvic tilt. But as I dug deeper and I worked on my posture, I started to do chin tucks, which is probably not the best idea. So I started doing chin tucks, my forward neck posture uh, that I had, forward neck posture. Started doing chin tucks to be more upright. Maybe, I'm working on my whole body, so maybe it would help. But I actually started to see that I had small jaws and that I couldn't really breathe as well with my small jaws in a more upright posture. And then I started going down that rabbit hole and I found posture restoration. I follow this man called Neil Hallinan, I believe. He's on YouTube. He's big in the YouTube PRI community. And yeah, I was just started to listen to his videos, and felt really understood because I was really going through this compensatory pattern called TMCC, which is the body basically winding up like a towel, and even the cranium is winding and the jaws are winding, and when the jaws wind, the teeth match to how the teeth need to mold into a more stable position for the cranium. Anyways, so there was that, and I was like, wow, okay, I feel really understood. He describes all my symptoms. So this must be what I'm going through. And from my understanding, he said that I needed a dental integration, something to do with the uh, I needed to do something with my teeth, my jaw, my cranium. That way, when it twists back to normal, that my body will also follow along. And the body will follow along because the body needs to adapt to maintain balance throughout the whole system. And I was like, okay, I thought I needed something to do with my teeth anyway because I was doing the chin tucks and I just had small jaws. That opened up a world of the dental side, and I went to go see different orthodontists, and they said that I didn't need jaw expansion. I didn't need to really move my teeth that much. They couldn't see and feel what I felt. So that was a real struggle. And not long after, I got into a motorcycle accident. Another motorcycle hit into me, and then I hit into the curb. I flew over the motorcycle. I bounced along the concrete on my sacrum and my heel, and I snapped my tibia and fibula, which is my shin. So I needed to get a rod in. And I'm telling you all this because it all relates later, where, yeah, so I snapped my leg and I needed to get surgery on my leg. And that was a whole process just to get from after accident to walking again. It took me about 9 months. I had all this bruising all over my body and my sacrum. And for, yeah, okay. So from there, I started to walk even worse, thinking, yeah, of course, like, I snapped my leg, I'm learning how to walk again. But even after 9 months, I'm off crutches, any aids, and I can actually walk a decent amount, maybe 100 meters, but still with pain. And I was like, how long is this going to take? And I was like, I feel like these symptoms are a worse version of the TMCC compensatory pattern that I had. But no one really understood this pattern. No one that I went to, my physios that I had for the accident, just, yeah, no one that I saw. So I kept going to orthodontists, and I was contemplating jaw surgery, and I spoke to Ron from Jaw Hacks, and he recommended me jaw surgery because of my small palate. That's what he would do if he was in my position. So I went on that route. I found a jaw surgeon that is really good and renowned in the double jaw surgery industry. So I saw him, and at this point, I'm in so much pain. It's like the hardest time of my life. I'm waking up and I'm in all sorts of pain. My body feels like it's ringing, like a wrung towel. That's how I feel like, or how I felt like. And like I couldn't sleep properly at night. I couldn't breathe properly. Just a whole sort of problems. I couldn't walk very far without my body feeling like it was going to break. Had inflammation in my knees, in my hips. So yeah, I was like in so much pain that I was desperate. I was desperate to find a solution, and I really thought that jaw surgery was going to be it. So I consulted with that jaw surgeon, and he's like, okay, I can't do surgery with you without insurance. So I had to wait 1 year, got insurance, waited 1 year. But during that time, I got Invisalign with the person he works with. So I started getting Invisalign. I started to feel different in my body. So I knew that the shifting of the teeth was actually a contribution to why my body was stuck and in so much pain and out of balance. So 1 year after, and during this time, I had psychology appointment, somatic healing, because it was provided as compensation for my motorcycle accidents. I was going through all this. And then 1 year, when I'm ready to do surgery, the surgeon gets suspended. And I was like devastated. Ah, and I just had to start from square one again. And it was a struggle to find another surgeon that I could trust and that would listen to what I was going through. So I went through a couple of surgeons. I just didn't feel like it was aligned. And on my search, I found cranial sacral therapy. And I was like, wow, Neil actually talked about the cranial being stuck and twisted. And I was like, maybe this therapist could help me. So I went to go see her. I had nothing to lose. And when I went in there, she kind of like just told me to stand up, to touch my head really lightly, told me to lay down. She listened to all my symptoms and what was going on in my life. And yeah, she just started to work on my body. She felt like where I needed to get some tension released from feeling the top of my head. That's what she does. And she started on my liver and my ribs. And she just touched me really gently. Like if I got my fingers and touched my hand really softly and just moved and twisted my hand, and it was just my skin moving. So she did that, she put it in position, and then about 15 seconds later, she didn't move. 15 seconds later, what I felt was my fascia, now that I know, my fascia untensioned. It just released. And then I even felt my liver, it also felt unstuck. And I felt like some fluids were moving into my liver or out of my liver. But it was fluids, like I felt fluids moving. I was like, what the hell is this sorcery? Like it felt like magic. I was like so flabbergasted on what happened. It was amazing. And I didn't know how to think of it because after the session, I didn't feel like too different. Like my body still had pain and like, yeah, my body still had pain, but that was really weird what happened to me. So I was like, okay, let's just keep going. And the sessions were spaced out in 3 weeks because the body needs time to heal and adjust. So went to the second session, did the same thing, touched my head, and yeah, she loosened something up. I'm like, wow, this is magic. Like, what are you doing? And that's when I started to learn about the fascia and how the fascia stores tension from trauma, from just different ways of how we're compensating in our daily lives, or if there was old trauma stuck from years ago. She actually told me the years. Like, oh, okay, this was stuck maybe about 5 to 7 years. This was stuck about blah, blah, blah. And it was like, I was so amazed. So, of course, I went again. The third session, she did the same magic on me. And she got to know me a lot more. And she asked me whether or not I tried PRI, because that's what she's been doing for her shoulder, and she's found that it really worked. And I was like, PRI, posture restoration? I'm like, this is what really got me on the path. It's like, it can't be a coincidence. So I decided to go see the posture restoration therapist that she recommended. And yeah, when I went to go see her, she had this huge form to sign, and this will relate later, but one of the questions was like, okay, when we go through these therapies, you might get very emotional. I was like, oh, okay, this is very interesting because this really links up to somatic healing, psychology, cranial psychotherapy, and I'm PRI as well, because they all work with the fascia. And the fascia is what stores tension, stores energy, stores trauma. And I was like, okay, this sounds really aligned for me. So I started my first session. She said that I was not even neutral. So when I was standing up, even though I may have felt neutral or seemed neutral in terms of like where I have my weight on my feet, that I wasn't. So her first goal for me was to get into neutrality. So even weight on both sides and being able to feel my heels and my big toe on both sides. So she gave me exercises that also Neil showed as well on his YouTube. But it was just different having someone guide me. And as I went through the first session, these sessions are also spaced out in 3 weeks because she gives 3 exercises that you do every day. So after the first session, I was like, yeah, okay, I feel a little bit of a change, but it wasn't healing in terms of I still had pain. Second time, I also didn't feel too much different, but the third time, I felt a huge difference that I felt neutral. Like I'm like, oh wow, this is how it feels to be balanced on the ground and have my weight sinking into the earth. And I was like, okay, this is really what I was looking for. Like, I feel like I'm making progress towards healing and being in less pain. Fast forward 1 year, I was done maybe over 40 different exercises. And what I learned was that I was breathing with my neck too much. So it was hypertension, that my diaphragm was locked. So she helped me breathe 360 with my diaphragm. She helped me get my pelvis underneath my ribs. And I'm still working with her now. I still have some things to do, especially with the ALF in. But after this 1 year of working with her, I felt so much better. I breathe better. I sleep better. I felt like I had sleep apnea or mild sleep apnea. And that was the contributing factor, all this ringing in my body when I woke up. Because when I woke up in these 3 years after the accident, I felt like my body was so exhausted and wrung out like a towel. Like I had no energy. I was zapped out. It was really tough. I couldn't explain it because on the outside I kind of looked normal, but on the inside it was chaos, and I was in real deep turmoil. Yeah, so after 1 year, I've gotten so much improvement that I thought, okay, maybe I don't need double jaw surgery. Maybe I can go through a different route. Even though I kind of really wanted double jaw surgery to widen my jaws, balance my face. That way I felt like my cranium was balanced so that my body would be balanced, that I can move and function and live day to day a lot easier. But I also thought, okay, if I got double jaw surgery, I'll be out for at least 6 months, maybe to a year. I've already slowed down my life from the motorcycle accident for 3 years. And I kind of didn't want to do that. I felt like I was in a position where, okay, I got so much from posture restoration. Maybe I can try this natural approach, letting the body heal itself, that I don't need like a huge structural change where I'm cutting my maxilla, my mandible, and moving it forward. Because from what I know is that people that get double jaw surgery don't always heal their breathing problem and their structural problem. And it's because it's a soft tissue fascia problem. And if you're from Jawhack's channel, if you've listened to Dr. Dr. Arnett, he talks about how the structural changes don't always heal the patient. It's because it's a soft tissue change, it's a fascia. It needs fascia release. So that's when I started to look for other alternatives, especially when I felt like the surgeons that I had didn't really understand my problem. They couldn't see and feel what I was experiencing inside. So that's when I spoke to my postural restoration and my cranial psychotherapist, and they both recommended me a dentist, but two different dentists, but they both did the Appliance and they both worked with posture. It's like, okay, this sounds like hope, a new path for me, other than jaw surgery. So, and I actually knew about what one of the dentists a year back, at the very beginning, where postural restoration therapist saw me and I told her about my dental stuff. She's like, "Oh, you should go see Jalal. I don't have any like relationship with him, but he has done PRI before." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." But once I knew that he was using the ALF, I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go there. I actually feared going to talk to him, because if you're also from Ron's channel and Jaw Hacks, is that he actually used the ALF and he had tipping of the teeth. His teeth got brittle, and I was so scared of the Appliance that I didn't want to go anywhere near that. I just disregarded it. After a year of healing of postural restoration, I was like, okay, like I know a lot more now with what I knew, like about fascia. So maybe the body can heal itself. I went to go see him, and he educated me on the ALF, that the ALF is not an orthodontic appliance. When people use it for orthodontics to move teeth and possibly expand jaw, they get into a lot of problems because it's not made for that, and it's too forceful if you use it that way. And the original intent from the creator was to use it as a osteopathic appliance, which helps the body get back into its most optimal posture, I would say. And he sent me educational videos and videos that you can find on YouTube about how the ALF works, and how ALF works by putting a gentle force, mimicking the tongue, to help the cranium be in a better posture and help the craniosuture bones breathe, the sphenoid, the maxilla breathe, so that it can slowly shift into its most optimal facial cranium structure. And I was like, okay, this sounds like nothing that I've heard before, but I would love for this to work. And as I listened to more of the videos, that he actually talked, actually in the session, in the consult, he actually talked about how I got into a motorcycle accident and that I bounced my sacrum on the concrete, and the force would have jolted up my spine and locked up the cranium. If not, it would have locked it up even more. So I was like, okay, interesting. And I listened to his lectures and videos, and he also talks about how trauma, any type of trauma to the head, to the sacrum, can really lock up the body. And that the spine is very necessary for it to be fluid and allow this fluid to run up and heal the body. And he also talked about how I did martial arts and I got hitting the head all the time. And, you know, things could happen when I was in childhood as well, getting my head hit on the concrete. I could have locked up the cranium. Anyways, sidetrack. I felt that this was the right place. This is the right path. I felt aligned. And this guy is kind of spiritual too, so I kind of like his vibe. So yeah, where am I up to? I guess I'm like 16, 17 days. 16, 17 days with the Alpha Appliance, and I've felt a lot better. I've slept better. That's definitely a key thing that I would add. And I would say that my breathing is better. And one thing that I kept telling my dentist and orthodontist that I wanted my teeth to shift in a certain way so that my jaw and my cranium would, you know, be more balanced. I felt that. And my dentist and orthodontist thought I was crazy. Just like, it's already straight. What are you talking about? You need to flick it out or whatever. It's like, oh, maybe when you get jaw surgery, it'll kind of like level it out properly. I just felt so off with what they were saying. And then as I've been on this 17-day with the ALF, my teeth actually shifted the way I wanted it to shift. And I feel more balanced. I feel I have more sensory in my left side of my body, which I haven't felt properly in a very long time. Even my hip feels like it's more neutral. It's getting back into position. I am doing posture restoration right now as well, but I feel like it's the combination of them both. And I even have, so one thing I didn't say is that with my motorcycle injury, I actually had nerve damage to the right side of my leg, and my right big toe didn't have very good sensory feedback. And I'm starting to get that back. Like with the ALF, I think as my body unwinds, the fascia unwinds and allows the nerves to do its thing and allows the nerves to heal. It puts my body on top of each other properly, and learning how to move and function is learning how to move and function with posture restoration and my new posture. I feel like it's unlocking and I'm regaining the functionality of my body. So that's where I'm at. I even feel like my face is getting detensioned, and this might sound weird, but my left eye had a blind spot, and I felt like my face was shifted this way. And as I'm doing posture restoration and with the ALF, it's slowly shifting back, and I'm getting more control and sensation in the left side of my face and my neck, which is like pulling my face this way. And I feel like because the fascia runs down throughout the whole body, that I'm actually feeling my hip rotate, and that is giving me more sensation in my right leg and into that big toe. And this is why I wanted to share this story, because I feel like healing is multidimensional. If I didn't do posture restoration and cranial sacral therapy and the ALF to unlock my body physically with the fascia, with all the tension stored from the accident, from childhood trauma, from generational trauma, and any other physical trauma, that I wouldn't be able to unlock all this. So in the physical sense, it's multi-dimensional as well. But as I mentioned before, I've done somatic healing, psychology, and I'm actually a Elementum coach, which is a life coach of some sort. Life coach. I'll talk about that later. That's why I choked. Yeah, so somatic healing, psychology, and coaching, they also release fascia, tension. And how they do it is that they work with trauma, energy stored in the body, in the fascia. And what trauma is the wound. Trauma is a wound, an internal wound that we have. And when we don't know how to deal with it, our fascia locks onto it. So being internal wound, it can be energy, emotion, and energy, emotion is energy in motion. But when we don't want to deal with it, our fascia locks it up, it holds it as tension, and the energy doesn't move, but it affects your whole body. Like imagine I had tension in different parts of my body, let's just say my chest, my hip, and my neck, and I had all this tension, but I didn't know about it unconsciously. And I'm walking around, of course my body is not going to be able to move fluidly and walk properly and function properly. So working with internal healing modalities allows for tension to release. It allows for emotions to release. And that is one side of the healing journey for me. And that's why this is multidimensional. It's not just physical, but it's mental, emotional, energetic, and even spiritual. Like really getting into the accident is probably the best thing that happened to me. Well, I actually have come to acceptance with it, and I wouldn't be the person I am today without it, because I feel like I've returned to my true self. I've returned to I've returned to life, let's just say. And yeah, it helped. It helped. Funny thing is, side story, is that the year that I got into the accident, motorcycle accident, I was actually 3 weeks into my coaching training of 9 months, and I got into the accident, and I was like, oh, how could this happen to me? But felt, I still pretended like nothing happened with my body, mind over matter, and I just continued to power through, become a coach people. And it wasn't until the 9 months had finished that I started to feel like I was burning out, and like I felt like I was dying. It was just too much. That's when I started to go on this healing journey, really slow down my life, listen to my body. What does my body need? And then I went from there. Damn, I forgot why I shared that story. Okay, I remembered why I told that story. When I was burning out after the 9 months, I began listening to my body, and I realized that I was storing so much pain and trauma myself. That was a real turning point for me, because here I am wanting to be a coach because I see so many people suffering, and I just want to help guide people to their inner intelligence to be fulfilled and love life again. But here I am also holding on to my own suffering, to holding my own pain and traumas. So that was a huge revelation for me. So the motorcycle accident was an initiation for me. It really got me to look at all my things, the physical trauma, childhood trauma, generational patterns, conditioning, and just all of it. And so that was a real blessing for me to really have this wake up call that, okay, this is what I am choosing to do with my life. Then let's put you on the path and really have you go through the full process yourself. So that's why I say it was the best thing that happened to me, not because of the pain, but what really woke up in me. And you don't need anything dramatic like that, getting into a motorcycle accident, nearly dying. Just really begin to slow down, feel safe, and start listening to your body. What does it need? And everything else is there. It's within you. Yeah, that was the story. But anyways, multidimensional healing. I feel like that's why I wanted to create this video. And I wanted to create this video to show that there are a lot of different modalities and therapies that can help with chronic pain, and that you may just need to go searching, experimenting, and yeah, doing your best. Don't give up. I feel like there's always a solution. Like, life is so super. Our human beings, we are super, that we can heal. Like, we have this innate intelligence within us that can heal. And that's why I feel like it's really amazing, because we've all heard stories about how someone's healed from being a paraplegic, or different different accidents. They've been able to heal. So why can't we? Just because the people around us say that we can't, it doesn't mean that it's not possible, because all innovation and all people that have changed this world has been told that it can't be done until it can. So don't give up. I really, really, truly believe that you can heal with what you're going through. It might just take time, and it's really about the journey of who you become during it. The results are great, don't get me wrong. I'm really happy that I've healed about 90% and still going. But this journey has taught me so much about myself, taught me so much about life, and yeah, about possibilities of life. Yeah, okay. I don't think I'll go into detail about the different modalities. Probably already did. But if you do want to know more about each modality, leave a comment, let me know. I'll do my best to make a video or anything about it. And yeah, one thing I actually want to say is that my ALF supplier, practitioner, that functional dentist, actually speaks about how our body has this innate super intelligence that helps us function every day, helps us, our heart beat. Well, so he talked about that, and he said that why are you letting people do surgery on you, and you trust them that they know where the jaw is supposed to fit, that they are some kind of god, that they know how your face is supposed to be, your skull is supposed to be. And that really got me, because I'm being on this 3-4 year journey of healing and understanding that this body is super. It actually has so many amazing possibilities that we just don't know about, that we have forgotten. And I'm like, yo, this really resonates with me. Like, I feel so aligned with the path that I'm on. And yeah, and that's why I really chose the ALF. Yeah, okay. I'll leave it at that. Remember, leave a comment below. Let me know. Yeah, let me know anything. I really just want to have a chat, get to know you all, and I'll do my best to help you guys on your healing journey with what I can. And yeah, stay super. Peace. I don't know what I'm doing. Peace. Ciao.